So what's going on, y'all? AJ Simmons here. I thank you for waking up with me this morning, and I want to tell you this.
Don't bother me, I'm working. Don't bother me,
Don't be afraid of the IRS. Now, there's a phrase out there. I first heard it in Nas's song back in the day where he says, "You fear what you don't understand and you hate what you can't conquer." I guess it's just a theory of man. And I believe that's nothing but fact. People fear what they don't understand and they hate what they can't conquer. So some people fear the IRS because they don't understand the tax laws. Other people hate the IRS because they feel like they can't get around the tax laws. Okay, they can't defeat it. So here's what I want to tell you today. Don't be afraid of the IRS. And y'all know I'm driving. I know you hear the signal light in the background. I'm always driving. But anyway, I understand why you might fear the IRS because they got a lot of power. You know what I mean? If they find out that you owe them money, they have very great ways of recouping what they feel like you owe them. Okay, but the reason why I say you don't need to be afraid of them because all you have to do is understand them, because again, you fear what you don't understand. So you're only afraid of them because you don't understand the tax law. So if you figure out the tax laws, you don't have to be afraid anymore. So tax season is coming up. It's actually pretty much here at this point. And a lot of you guys who are franchise owners, new franchise owners, maybe in your second year or whatever, and you're getting these 1099 miscellaneous forms back from the franchisor that you're with, and you're probably afraid because you don't know what to do. It's not a W-2 like you used to at your job. But you're supposed to set up and structure your company from the beginning, really for taxes. That's what figuring out your entity type is and how you want to be taxed when you do S-corp or C-corp or sole proprietorship and all of that. That's what all of that is about. It's about how do you want to be taxed. So really, you should have figured this out from the beginning. But if you didn't, I'm going to try to help you here. There's nothing to be afraid of, okay? Basically, just to give you a simple, very, very simple, brief overview of how taxes work. Basically, all of the money that you're making on a 1099, no taxes were taken out, none throughout the year, okay? And basically, all income you're supposed to pay income taxes on. But since you didn't pay any income taxes on that money, well, now at the end of the year, the IRS wants you to pay taxes on that money based off the tax bracket that you're in, which is based off the amount of money that you made. Okay. But there's a good thing that can save you, and that's called adjusted gross income. What the adjusted gross income is, I'm trying not to go too deep. I told myself I won't go too deep. But what the adjusted gross income is adjusted. So you won't be taxed on just the gross amount of money, the total amount of money you made. Instead, you'll be taxed on the adjusted gross income. The adjusted gross income is that gross amount of money minus any deductions or credits that you receive on your taxes. And guess what? All of your business expenses are tax deductions. So that means that if you made $9,000 this year, then you will only be taxed on $9,000 minus any gas spent for the business, any bills paid for the business, any subcontractors or employees paid for the business. So you take out all of those expenses, and then whatever left out of that $9,000, maybe it's $2,000. Now you only be taxed on that $2,000 instead of that $9,000, okay? And then they have what's called credits, which is not only does it take out the amount that you could be taxed on, but it also might give you a credit and allow you to receive a refund, okay? So hopefully that was kind of a good enough overview for you to understand where I'm going with this, okay? So you don't have to be afraid of the IRS. You don't have to be afraid of taxes. If you don't feel comfortable, first of all, this is what I always recommend to people. Get up on one of those tax softwares. I use TurboTax. But get on the tax software and just play with it. See what it does. And if you don't like what you see, or if you still don't feel comfortable, then you take it take what you have, take the information to a CPA or H&R Block or whatever tax company you like to use, and go from there. But basically, just keep your books in order, okay? Always use your business debit card to make purchases, so that way you have a bank statement record of the purchases, so that way you don't have to keep up receipts. Always keep your statements, your monthly statements that the franchisor sends you every month, so that way you have a record of that. Keep any type of income, any cash receipts if you've done business outside of the franchise or whatever the case. Just make sure you keep good records. As long as you kept good records, then you have nothing to fear during taxes. But your main goal for taxes is not to not pay taxes. Your main goal is to pay as little taxes as possible, and if that happens to be zero, great. Or if you have to get a credit, even better. But what you have to get your mindset in is to the point where, okay, it's not just about a refund anymore. It's about, I made some money, let's see how I can legally pay as little amount of taxes as possible. But what you don't want to do is avoid taxes. You don't want to avoid taxes altogether and just not file and say, well, I'm not on the books, I'm not a W-2 employee, so I'm just going to not file. Because some people will do that year after year after year, and they think they're getting away with it. But it could be 10 years later, and next thing you know, you got a tax letter in the mail for $70,000 saying you owe $7,000 in back taxes for the last 10 years. So you don't want to avoid it. Face your problems head on and don't be afraid of them. The only reason you're afraid is because you don't understand. But guess what? Google is this, YouTube is this. So get out there and learn it. Maybe you can't afford a CPA, so fine. You can afford the time, right? You can make some time where you can make yourself learn this stuff, okay? So understand what's going on and don't be afraid. Like, you're a business owner, you're a business person. Face those problems. Be responsible, okay? Another thing I want to talk about also, make sure that if you're like me and you pay your workers as 1099 contractors, you need to make sure that they understand how they're being paid and what exactly is going on, and that they understand that their taxes will be due on their money by the end of the year. So just make sure that you have an understanding, so that way you can communicate the knowledge that you have to the people who are working for you, okay? So that's something that you want to do also, because you don't want people to not understand what's going on and then they try to blame you when taxes are due on the money that they made and they didn't understand why, okay? So that's another thing that I also wanted to mention. Now, the final thing that I wanted to mention was audits. Audits is like the big thing that everybody's afraid of, right? Because that's when you find out if the IRS that they're gonna come and investigate the information that you reported, and then if they feel like you reported false information, or if it was inaccurate information, that they're gonna tell you that you owe money. Well, this is what I have to say about that. First of all, from my understanding, you have two types of audits. You have a soft audit and you have a hard audit. A soft audit is when they send you a piece of or a letter in the mail and they let you know, hey, according to our records, you owe us this amount in taxes because of this and this and that. And so unless you can provide us proof that you don't owe us this, then you need to pay this amount. Okay, so that's simple stuff. So then all you got to do is go in your records, provide the proof that you don't owe that money, or just pay up. And that's simple stuff, okay? Like, what's so scary about that? Then if you have a hard audit, they're going to actually send a IRS rep to your location, to your business or your home, wherever you do business from, and they're going to go over your documents with you and figure out what's going on. So when you think about it in that sense, it's really not as scary as they make it sound. So my point is this: if you understand what's going on, what you're dealing with, then you have nothing to be afraid of. So make it your duty to understand, so that you don't have to fear. So that way you won't fear what you don't understand. Make it your duty as an entrepreneur and as a business person to understand at least the basics in taxes, okay? And hire yourself a good CPA once you get to that level of needing a CPA, okay? So that's what I wanted to give y'all today, because I understand that tax time is coming, and a lot of us are brand new entrepreneurs and franchise owners who haven't really been exposed to a lot of information on this subject, because that's something that they don't really teach you when you go to the franchise training. So I wanted to give you that.